friends, this is Chandra from Akul Mac Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. Today we are joined by a very eminent leader. Her name is Isha Sharma. She joins us from Delhi. She is the co-founder and the CEO of Triambak organization, which is a specialized company in the area of intellectual properties. Welcome to the show, Isha.
Thank you so much, Seki. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And as you know, Isha, we are on day 16th of the lockdown. Certain parts of India are also getting into or getting up into total lockdown. But I think rest of
Right.
India is going through lockdown. So I would like to know in your community, in your area, do you see any innovation that has come out where people have got together as a social partnership and coming out with some solution to handle this lockdown situation?
Mhm. Sure. So thank you so much for getting me on this platform. So answering to your question, I am joining from Delhi. So what I see related to my community and neighborhood is that I understand that it's a total lockdown situation across the globe. So it's more or less similar for everybody sitting in India or anywhere across the globe. But the because I come from a domain which basically relates to a lot of startups, a lot of innovations in nature, so I keep on reading a lot of stuff related to what is happening currently. So I understand that it's a very difficult situation for people who are working in the line of business. Either it's a small scale business or it's a large scale business. The scale of problems might be different, but then it is still there. So I see a lot of collaborations happening between two, you can say, two different sets of startups to actually help and to fight against the COVID. So for example, the industries which the major players related to your I would say the car part, say Ola and Uber is there. So those people are trying to collaborate with the say Big Basket or people who can actually supply the components or the essential needs of a normal person. So these kind of collaborations are helping both of them in terms of business and in terms of contribution as well. So I see a lot of positive change happening because they usually belonged from a community which focused on competitiveness. But right now, because of this COVID culture, I see too much of collaboration happening, which is in a way a very positive approach towards fighting anything. And even I would say to enhance business, I personally believe that collaborations can actually help you achieve more in comparison to the competitiveness. So this is one change that I'm seeing in terms of business aspect. Apart from that, if you talk in general terms of say psychology or human behavior, that we are still away from that human touch kind of a feeling. We were so used to meeting people and then discussing things. Even if I talk about my business, it was more like meeting the client, trying to convince them that why is it important, how is it is done, and everything else. Now everything is digitized in a way that we are doing these Zoom calls and video conferencing with our clients as well as with our friends. It doesn't hit the business in terms of, I would say, the connectivity level, but of course we miss that human touch. But in a way we have learned to deal with it, and in a way it is moving towards more of a digitization. In terms of Indian aspects, I would say that it is going to create a culture where we will be okay working from home. It will create a culture where we will be like okay digitizing everybody's, because when we talk about startups, leaving the tech startups aside, apart from that, everybody else who is into creation, say there is a small shop owner or a restaurant owner or anybody else who is selling their products, they were quite reluctant to go digital. I mean, apart from the impositions that were there, like for Amazon or Flipkart, you have to sell your products. But apart from that, they were very hesitant and they were not very tech friendly. But now, because of this lockdown scenario, they have to learn it because there is no way out of it. So probably it's a do or die situation. So you have to learn to go digital to survive in the market. Yeah, that's more what is happening around me, I would say.
Yes, it's very well summarized, Isha. And since you work with the intellectual property issues and you mostly work with the SME segments and startups,
Yes.
do you see
Mhm.
any downturn
Mhm.
in the business sentiments in your community, in your network?
See, as I'm interacting with my clients, I would say, who are startup owners, initially I would say they were very irritated and frustrated what to do because they were not prepared with this kind of a scenario. But now, eventually, because we've come a long way now, because now we are used to this kind of a setting, and it looks indefinite to me as of now, that when will this lockdown open or not. And so now people are coming up with different positive approaches. So what I see is a lot of people who can't implement what they're doing, at least they're ideating to it. So they're creating more of a novel content, for that matter. They're designing on new products and new developments. So people are actually using this time to focus on the ideation part of the business rather than the implementation part of the business. Because once you have everything ready in your plate, you can start doing the work at the later stage, right? So a lot of my clients are more focused towards creation part. Eventually what we do is help them to register. So the entire process, that process will follow. Eventually it will follow once the offices gets open. So there is a part of which we can do right now. So the research is still happening. The people are, as I said, that they are actually ideating. They are coming with a lot of different sets of questions, that whether it can be done or whether it can't be done. So rather than focusing on the negative part of it, that we will not be able to implement it or make the prototypes or do the testing, but at least they can still ideate. So this is the kind of vibe that I'm getting from my people, I would say.
So, Isha, let me ask you one very pertinent, not a question, basically your opinion. See, there are certain businesses which can straight away migrate to virtual platform,
Right.
but there are a lot of other businesses which cannot migrate to virtual platform. Businesses like manufacturing sector,
Right.
agriculture, and the likes
Right.
of those. Um,
Right.
so there is definitely a need to find a new business model. Um, from your point of view, and do you have an opinion on what the governments of each countries do to revive the business sentiment after this lockdown situation across the world is lifted?
Mhm. See, I understand your point that it is going to affect, and I could relate with the fact that, of course, there are divisions which can actually go virtual, and then there are divisions which can't. So, for the divisions which can go virtual, if you talk about IT companies, they always had a work from home culture. So, for them, it is not a very big thing apart from getting the business hit, because there is no, eventually, there is a shortage of the client for everybody, irrespective of an IT industry or an agriculture industry. But and for the kind of businesses which are not tech oriented or which are not virtual in nature, so I was telling for them only that this is the time to actually think, or maybe do your SWOT analysis, that what went wrong, what are we doing right now, so even to enhance your productivity. So if you say that any business which is into manufacturing unit, there is a part of which can be done virtually, or which can be done sitting at the home. As I said, that probably if you're into a product making industry, any kind of a product, say mobile phone is your product, you will not be manufacturing those products, but you can still do the research on the development part, that eventually when this lockdown gets over, there is a human psychology which will be there. So you can play with that aspect. I see a lot of digital marketing companies going under lapse condition, because there is nobody who is marketing their own stuff right now, because maybe either due to crash crunches or whatever. But this is the time to understand the human psychology, that after the lockdown period, there will be certain component of which will need certain things. So you have to play on that part. I'm not saying that you exploit that part, but maybe people would need to still be connected with other people. So more of events or more of networking platforms can come into picture. So you have to actually understand the requirements of your customers. So right now, this is the best time to understand the human psychology, and then ideate according to that aspect, and then later on you can always execute that part. So it is valid for every industry, irrespective of whether it go virtual or not. Now, coming to your point about the economy condition, of course, see, I don't see any country which is not aware about the economy condition that it will go, I mean, in a very questionable manner, and it will be a very, I would say, we will have another war to fight for, maybe hunger, maybe employment. That is what we are coming to at the later stage. But so I was just reading somewhere that it's not a very easy situation for anybody, for even for government, because they have to choose between a wrong and a wrong kind of a scenario. There is no right thing into it. So probably you just have to understand that maybe you're choosing something which will not have a very larger impact into it, because considering the death rate in this coronavirus scenario is very high. So you cannot expect any government or any I would say agency for that matter to play with that factor, because it is going to affect people, right? So you can't just let people die. Even if you see that there will be an economy impact, it can be reviewed by measures which can be taken in a clubbed manner. What I see uh, happening would be that maybe there will be certain collaborations which is going to happen across the globe, because it is not something which is in it's not a country specific problem, it's a world problem. So what I see or probably hope in the future is that the world will come together to fight this kind of a scenario. There will be certain treaties which will be formed, there will be certain collaborations which will be formed to take care of the global impact of the COVID, in terms of either say food, or in terms of medicine, or in terms of your employment, or in terms of your economy. There will be a difficult time because people will eventually lose jobs. To be very honest, even I was concerned that I've been seeing that big companies are cutting on the salaries and of the partners and eventually of the employees as well. But you should feel lucky enough that you still have something on your plate, you still have a job. So this 30%, and see, in comparison also, if you say that the kind of expenses that we had before the lockdown, and right now, if you compare it with me, I don't even spend like 20 or 30% of what I had earlier. So we have to just survive. I would say that it is the survival time rather than fighting and questioning what will be the impact of it on the economy, or whether it will be done or not. At times, we just have to sit and survive for a duration of time and then come back to it. By that time, you can use this time to probably come up with something which you never thought of. If you ask me personally, I was implementing my business in a different manner. Now I am more of a process oriented person, because now I can sit and see that these were the loopholes that were there in my kind of an implementation. So maybe I can improve. I'm not saying that the business is not affected, it is directly affected, because there is a shortage of the client, people are not having money, bills are not released. So that is the current scenario. But being an entrepreneur or being a business owner, you have to understand that this is the difficult time, and that's what you enroll for. If you're choosing to be an entrepreneur, if you're choosing to be a business person, you enroll for failures. So you have to sustain during this time period, and eventually it will get better. For the people who are in employment, for the people who are employees, feel lucky that if you still have a job, so be positive and contribute whatever you have. So if you are contributing 100%, contribute 200%, so that you don't regret that you never gave your 100% into it, and you never fulfilled the entire expectations. But even if there is a scenario where you end up losing your job, just don't lose on your hope. So there is a favorite quote of mine which says that people can take away everything from you, but they can't take your indomitable spirit. Just hold on to your spirit and everything will be
In fact, Isha, I think there is a lot of stuff that you said today. So if I have to summarize this in a real life situation, when people go for during the good times, right now we are under lockdown, but during the good times, we talk to people, they say, hey, I need a challenging job. So here
fine.
it is. I think what you're trying to say, here's the challenge, and this is what you wanted. So here it is in front of you. So, it was great talking to you, Isha. Your words of wisdoms are definitely very valuable for me personally and also to my viewers. It was really a good pleasure, but conversation I had with you. So we have some more days to go. I think the lockdown is not going to be lifted very soon. We'll find another great opportunity to speak to you after a few days to see if things have changed uh, and take your opinion on what we should do next.
We'll do that. Stay safe, stay home, take care.
You too, Isha. Be positive, stay safe. Thank you.